Welcome to the 1 Minute Mobility Series. I'm going to give you 5 different movement sequences that you can practice at home with no equipment that'll help you level up your athleticism for any sport. All right, let's go. Okay, in part 4, we're going to focus on shoulder mobility and we're going to use throwing as a way to do that. I'm going to give you 3 exercises and we'll practice them on both sides. I'm going to start in a split stance, so left foot forward, and I'm going to be throwing my back or right hand. So we're going to start with this very simple overhand throw. And what I want you to focus on right out of the gate is the sequencing of the joints. A lot of times people think of throwing as just a hand action, but it's really not. It originates in the hip, goes to the shoulder, then the elbow, and we finally release out of the wrist and hand. Getting that sequencing right is critical to experiencing the elasticity of our throw, which is really what makes us such good throwers and able to throw way beyond just the muscle power that we have. So I really notice how I feel my hip twitch to kick off the whole sequence of events. It's right there, boom. So really start working on initiating your throw out of your hip. And you'll notice that as your hip twitches, it lengthens that tissue because your hip's going forward while your shoulder is staying back, and that creates that elastic pull that then uncorks your throw. Notice how when I bring my hand back, I'm bringing my thumb right at eye level and my elbow is level as well. We don't want the elbow to be locked down here, which happens sometimes when we lack that full healthy range in our shoulders. All right, then I'm going to do that on my other side, so I'll show it to you here. We all have a strong, flowy side, and we all have a weak side. For me, I had surgery on this left shoulder, so I've got a lot more work to do here, and I practice on this side a lot more. Next up, we're going to go back to that original overhand throw, but we're going to add a movement that's going to allow us to coil it and then uncork even bigger. So I'm going to throw, but then at the far apex of my throw, instead of just bringing it back to the same side, I'm going to bring it around my head. But it's not just making a halo around my head, it's really twisting my body into the window that I'm creating with my throwing arm. So my throwing arm is twisting, creating the space for my head to swivel through, and then my right hand, my throwing hand, is going to pass by my left ear. And that's going to give me a much bigger coil from which to unleash that throw. One of the variations that I'll often add here is just using a dumbbell. This is just an adjustable dumbbell. I've taken all the weights off. I'm not really interested in loading it. I'm more interested in just getting enough of an object that it gives me a bit more feedback and can help to increase my awareness, my proprioception of where my body is in space as I coil and uncoil. So notice as I bring it back, the dumbbell is going to point all the way down to the ground, and that's really enabling that twist that allows my body to come through that and then release it. Try that on my right side so you can see on both sides. Notice how there's a little moment of acceleration and then it decelerates as it comes back around. Okay, the last move is going to be an underhanded throw in which I'm going to use my shoulder as the fulcrum, letting my arm swing. When my arm makes it to horizontal, I'm going to go back to that same movement, creating that window, coiling my body through it, and then I can finish by accelerating that into a throw. So it'll look like this. All right, now I can try that with my prop here. So I'll do it on my left side. So first, using my shoulder as a fulcrum, letting my arm come all the way up to horizontal, twisting my body into it, and then accelerating the throw. The whole goal of this mobility work is to establish these natural patterns of movement. And then once the pattern is really good and we feel like we're moving really efficiently, then we can load them in order to get strong. So what does a 1 minute mobility sequence look like? It's gonna be just a combination of those. It's a great way to warm up the shoulders, perhaps before a strength training session. So I'm gonna start split stance, left foot forward. I'm gonna start with that simple overhand throw. I'm coiling it back the same side of my body. I'm really getting those good spinal mechanics, twisting and untwisting. Then I'm gonna just accelerate that by taking it over behind the opposite side of my head. I can mix those two. Then I'm gonna add in the overhand throw. Then of course I'm gonna switch to the other side, so I'm getting good work done on both sides of my body. So there was a 1 minute throwing mobility routine. I love throwing. I think it's such an important part of the function of our shoulder. In fact, I don't think we can even understand our shoulder without understanding throwing. And the design of our shoulder really evolved through the period about 2 million years ago, where we as humans became hunters. And in order to kill the animal that we had run down through persistence, we had to throw something at it. And that really transformed our shoulders into what I believe is really the most complex and capable joint in our whole body. It's also a very elastic joint, something that it probably wouldn't have been capable of when we were just crawlers and climbers and had to evolve towards in order for us to become such good throwers. And when we look at sports that entertain us today, the three biggest sports in America are all ball sports, right? Football, baseball, basketball. But throwing shows up everywhere. Throwing is an integral part of climbing. It's key to martial arts. Fly fishing is essentially a throwing sport, right? There's just so many ways in which we throw. Ice climbing is another throwing sport. And getting strong, capable overhead shoulders is something we can do by just patterning them. This is all part of our Climb IQ series, which drops on May 23rd. It's a groundbreaking approach to building mobility, not just in the shoulders, but also in our hips and other parts of our body. Tomorrow, last episode I'm going to drop is going to be on bounding, and we're going to really look at the function of the human ankle. Okay, thanks for watching.